I did this for the Wairus when I was a youth advisor,
I bet I know it.
but I only read it then. I had not internalized it, and I have now internalized it. So it is a poem, and as I said, it is an obscure work by a famous Nobel Prize-winning poet, but it is not really a nonsense poem, but it doesn't actually make sense on a line-by-line basis. So I think that it needs to have a little bit of explanation as to how it came about, which is, everyone here is familiar with Woodie Guthrie.
Woodie Guthrie.
Woodie Guthrie,
Mm-hmm.
and knows a little bit about Woodie Guthrie. It's interesting because when I read this for the youth group at the church, there were 8 or 9 of them, but only one of them knew who Woodie Guthrie
Is
was.
that right?
And I was really surprised.
Are these teenagers?
Yeah, they were teenagers. And this was in 2010 or so, probably.
Okay.
But when I was going to school, we learned about Woodie Guthrie. And interesting thing about Woodie Guthrie is that he died of a disease called Huntington's chorea, which is something that I used to see when I was working in nursing homes. It's a muscle wasting disease along the lines of Lou Gehrig's disease. It's the kind of
Huntington's what?
Huntington's chorea.
Korea?
Yeah, and sometimes it's just called Huntington's disease.
Yeah, Huntington's
But
disease,
yeah, but it's
okay.
the same thing, and it's a
A wasting.
autoimmune issue that wastes your
Mhm.
muscles and leaves you basically unable to physically function. And actually, Woodie Guthrie had lost the ability to play guitar some years before he developed symptoms of Huntington's chorea because he was in a campfire accident and he got badly burned.
Oh,
And so he wasn't really able to
on
play.
his hands?
Yeah, so he
Oh.
wasn't really able to play much after that, and that was in the early 50s or so. But as the
50s?
50s, yeah. And I think Woody died in 1964 or 5. Yeah, and he was very famous by the time that he had died.
Mm.
But I mean, he was the guy that rode to labor rallies on freight trains and stuff. He'd made a lot of records, but he'd never made a lot of money. So he was not a wealthy person.
Okay.
And when he got this disease and it became symptomatic, he needed a lot of care, but he didn't have money. So
He didn't have the Obamacare.
no, he didn't have Obamacare. And so he ended up in charity care at the Brooklyn State Hospital in New York.
I'll be darned.
And
Arlo couldn't help him?
Arlo
Was not
was a
famous at that point.
younger chap at that point.
Okay.
Because this is like the very end of the 1950s or the very
Okay,
beginning of the 1960s. But at the Brooklyn State Hospital, Woodie Guthrie was visited by a very young Bob Dylan, who had grown up idolizing Woodie Guthrie in his childhood in Minnesota, and was really excited to get a chance to actually meet his hero. And there's a biography of Dylan that has a postcard in it that he sent back to someone in Minnesota saying, "I met Woodie Guthrie, I talked to him, I played with him, I know Woody." You know, it's just like so much excitement out of this young guy about this famous folk singer from someone that would become the most famous folk singer of the second half of the 20th century.
Yeah.
It's just really funny. But that was at the Brooklyn State Hospital. So flash forward several years. Bob Dylan has become very successful. He's famous all over. And a publisher in New York is publishing a new biography of Woodie Guthrie. And the
This is before he's dead?
This is in the mid-60s, and just wait for it.
Oh, wrong question?
Wait
Okay.
for it. The publisher asks Bob Dylan, who's famous as a folk singer at this point, to write a blurb for the dust jacket of the book. You know, a little. Bob Dylan says, "Well, what do you want?" And the publisher said, you know, something along the lines of, why I love Woodie Guthrie in 25 words or less. So, yeah. So Bob Dylan took a pen and a piece of paper, and I expect a large joint, and sat down And this is what he wrote. I'm going to stand up just because I know how to do this sitting down. I don't
Yes.
know if I know how to do it standing up. He wrote, when your head gets twisted and your mind grows numb and you think you're too old, too young, too smart, or too dumb, when you're lagging behind and losing your pace in the slow motion crawl of life's busy race, no matter what you're doing, if you start giving up, if the wine doesn't rise to the top of your cup and your train engine fire needs a new spark to catch it, and the wood's easy finding, but you're lazy to fetch it, and lonesome comes up as down goes the day, and tomorrow morning seems so far away, and it feels like the reins of your pony are slipping, and your rope is a-sliding because your hands are a-dripping, and your sun-decked desert and evergreen valleys turn to broken down slums and trash can alleys, and your sky cries water, and your drain pipes are flowing, and the lightnings are flashing, and the thunders are crashing, and the windows are rattling and breaking, and the rooftops are shaking, and the whole world's a slamming and banging, and your minutes of sun turn to hours of storm, and to yourself you sometimes say, I never knew it was gonna be this way. Why didn't they tell me the day I was born? And you start getting chills, and you're jumping from sweat, because you're looking for something you ain't quite found yet. You're knee-deep in dark water with your hands in the air, while the whole world watches with a window peak stare. And you figured you failed in yesterday's rush, when you were faked out and fooled while facing a 4 flush, and all the while you were holding 3 queens. It's making you mad, it's making you mean, banging around like a pinball machine. And there's something on your mind you want to be saying that somebody, somewhere, ought to be hearing. But it's locked in your brain. It's sealed in your head, and it bothers you badly as you lay there in bed, and no matter how you try, you just can't say it. And you're scared to your soul that you might just forget it. And your eyes get swimmy with the tears in your head, and your pillows of feather turn to blankets of lead, and the lion's mouth opens, and you're staring at his teeth, and his jaws start closing with you underneath. Or you're flat on your belly with your hands tied behind, and you wished you'd never taken that last detour sign. And you say to yourself, just what am I doing on this road that I'm walking, on this trail I'm turning, on this pathway I'm strolling, in this space that I'm taking, in this air I'm inhaling? Am I mixed up too much? Am I mixed up too bad? Why am I walking? Where am I going? Why am I running? What am I knowing on this guitar that I'm playing, and these songs that I'm singing, and these words that I'm singing, and these words that I'm writing, and these words that I'm thinking, in this ocean of hours I'm all the time drinking?
Daphne, get
Who am I
down.
helping? What am I breaking? What am I giving? What am I taking? But you try with your whole soul best never to think them kind of thoughts and never to let them kind of thoughts come round and make your heart pound. Still, all the same, you know when they're around, just waiting for a chance to slip in and drop down, because sometimes you hear them when the nighttime comes creeping. And then you get scared they may just catch you sleeping, and you leap from your bed, from your last chapter of dreaming, and you can't tell for the best of your thinking if that was you in the dream that was screaming. You know that it's something special you're needing. And there ain't no drug gonna do for the healing. Ain't no liquor in the land gonna stop your brain from bleeding. You need something special. Yeah, you need something special, all right. You need a fast flying train on a tornado track to shoot you someplace and shoot you back. You need a cyclone wind on a steam engine howler that's been banging and booming and blowing forever, knows your troubles 100 times over. You need a Greyhound bus that won't bar no race, that won't laugh at your looks or your voice or your face, and by any number of bets in the book, will be rolling long after the bubblegum craze. You need something to open a new door, to show you something that you've seen before but overlooked 100 times or more. You need something to open your eyes. You need something to make it known that it's you and no one else that owns that spot where you're standing, that space where you're sitting, that the world ain't got you beat, that it ain't got you licked, that it can't get you crazy no matter how many times you might get kicked. You need something special to give you hope. But hope is just a word that maybe you said, maybe you heard round some windy corner on a wide-angle curve. But that's what you need, man. And you need it bad. And your trouble is, you know it too good, because you look and you start getting the chills, because you can't find it on a dollar bill. And it ain't in Macy's windowsill, and it ain't found in no rich kid's road map, and it ain't in no fat kid's fraternity house, and it ain't made in no Hollywood wheat germ, ain't in the nightclub or the yacht club, ain't in the seats of the supper club, ain't in the rumors that people are telling you, ain't in the pimple lotions people are selling you, ain't in no cardboard box house or down no movie star's blouse, and you can't find it on the golf course. And Uncle Remus can't tell you, and neither can Santa Claus. It ain't in the marshmallow voices of the chocolate cake noises. They come knocking and tapping and Christmas tree rapping, saying, ain't that pretty, and ain't that cute, and look at my skin, look at my skin glow, look at my skin shine, look at my skin laugh, look at my skin cry. When you can't even tell if they got any insides, these people, so pretty on their ribbons and bows. No, you'll not now or on no other day find it on the doorsteps, made out of paper mache, and inside the people, made of molasses, who every other day buy a new pair of sunglasses. Ain't in the 50-star generals or the flipped-out phonies who turn you in for 1/10 of a penny, who breathe and burp and bend and crack, and before you can count from 1 to 10, do it all over again, but this time behind your back, my friend. The ones who whirl and twirl and play games with each other in their sandbox world, the ones who jump on the wagon just for a while because they know it's in style, get their kicks, get out of it quick, make all kinds of money and chicks. And you raise up your voice and you throw down your hat and say, Christ, do I gotta be like that? Ain't there nobody here who knows how I feel? Ain't there nobody here who knows that stuff ain't real? No. But that ain't your game, that ain't your race. You don't see your name. You don't hear your name, you don't see your face. You've got to look some other place. And where do you look for this hope that you're seeking? Where do you look for this oil well gushing? Where do you look for this candle that's glowing? Where do you look for this hope that you know is there and out there somewhere? And your feet can only walk down 2 kinds of roads. Your eyes can only look through 2 kinds of windows. Your nose can only smell 2 kinds of hallways. You can reach out and touch and turn 2 kinds of doorways. You can either go to the church of your choice, or you can go to the Brooklyn State Hospital. You'll find God in the church of your choice. you find Woodie Guthrie in the Brooklyn State Hospital. And although it's only my opinion, I could be right or wrong, you find them both in the Grand Canyon at sundown. Last thoughts on Woodie Guthrie by Bob Dylan.
Bravo.
Wow.
Bravo.